everyone, welcome to another What I Would Have Done Thursday, and today I thought it would be interesting to kind of discuss a Stephanie Meyer's work again. And this one I think though did have some potential because I felt the concept at least was fairly unique when it comes to sci-fi and when it comes to, in particular, aliens sort of invading. Because usually we see aliens invading rather through physical force compared to mental force. And in this case, as you can see by the title, that concept was basically what the host was going for. This idea of aliens taking over human bodies. It does suffer a little bit of similar problems to Twilight, which I will sort of get into, and I'm going to discuss basically what I would have done to sort of improve the, I think, overall quality of what was the final product, the host. First being that there is fairly creepy romance again. We have the same problem that we had with Twilight, where the romance is not genuine, it's not exciting, it's not beautiful, it's creepy. And probably stalkerish, body snatcherish weird because, again, we have the concept of aliens invading, and so you get, I'm not kidding you, in the movie, alien and human love. Yeah, I guess, I don't know what would you classify an alien being in love with a human? Like, oh, how does that go? And I know there's bestiality with being with a werewolf, and there's necrophilia with being with a vampire, but I have no idea what we would classify an alien as. An alien and human being together, what would that be? Not sure. But that's really in there. That's really emphasized. This really odd, creepy kind of romance. It's almost like a love square, kind of, because as I'm explaining to you what the plot is, you'll sort of see why this creepy romance comes in. But again, it's just something that needed to be taken out, like, completely. So, to start off with, in order to give you an understanding of what the host is about, in case you are unfamiliar, basically the host, again, revolves around the concept of aliens taking over human bodies. But the main forefront of this movie is this alien who takes over a girl's body, and I believe Melanie's her real, the human's name, and then Wanderer is the alien's name. Yeah, Wanderer. And they have other names like Seeker, and they're it's strange how they're these weird nouns and not actual names. But again, that's sort of, I guess, how their alien race works, by giving people those kinds of names. But either way, basically the Wanderer and Melanie, I think is her name. Did I say Melanie? I think it's Melanie. Melanie and Wanderer are basically inhabiting the same body at the same time. Usually when the aliens would take over, they would take over the human body completely, and so that person that was really in there doesn't exist anymore. But I guess with Melanie is different because I guess she's special. Like how Bella can sense Edward or something, or sense vampires, or just, you know, like how they put this thing in that makes her somehow special, even though it's really just trivial. But basically that's how they try to set this whole thing up. And the plot sort of carries away from there because you have the aliens who are trying to stop her in particular, Melanie/Wanderer, because they know that the human is still there. And they want to make sure that human gets completely taken over. And Melanie is sort of fighting for her life, too, at the same time. The problem that this film presents is largely due to the fact that there's really little explanation as to why the aliens ultimately want to take over humans. I mean, it is emphasized, again, the Seeker, who's another character in this movie, who again tries to go after Melanie. She basically states that it has to do with making things perfect, like that their world is, that the aliens would make perfection to that society or whatever, that humans couldn't possibly make. And that's, I guess, an okay of an explanation, but it's really not an in-depth explanation. I think what would have been a lot more interesting is if they really fully and in detail explained the reasonings behind the aliens wanting to have planet Earth in particular. Usually it's has been used as a form of colonization and you know, ideals of imperialism and conquering, which I think was something that I believe it was one of the person who wrote War of the Worlds was going for, this idea of fear of an outside force causing harm. And here it's almost like that they kind of brushed over that explanation, when really there should have, I think, been more of an explanation, especially when not only do you want to kill humans, but you want to inhabit them. Like, there's a difference, you know, because there's some alien films where they just completely and utterly destroy humans, which has been really the major aspect of sci-fi when it comes to aliens. Aliens come and destroy. Or, again, they try to intervene for the sake of establishing some greater truth, or some greater knowledge onto humans. I guess E.T., you could say, and How the Earth Stood Still sort of is reflected in on those themes, which I think is something that this story could have gone for. But deep down, I think there should have been definitely a more lengthy explanation. And it would have gotten us to understand and even maybe sympathize with the aliens. Unless you want to make the aliens pure evil, but I don't think that really offers an interesting commentary. Again, you sort of end up with the same really black and white Avatar approach that I think wouldn't really work well for this story. So I think it would have been interesting had the film really started off with a little bit of a detailed explanation as to why the aliens are doing what they're doing. And I think an interesting explanation would be something to the effect of that the aliens feel like that the humans are destroying the planet, and as a result, and maybe their race is dying or something, and they see the humans and they say, look, they have such plentiful resources, and look at what they're doing with it. And we would utilize those resources all the more better. Let's take over their bodies and repopulate our race. That would, I think, have been a little bit more of a detailed and more interesting explanation as to why the aliens go do what they do. Rather than, oh, we like making things perfect. Yeah, okay. You like making things perfect. Okay, you're very neat. Oh, okay. Well, that's great. I don't know how much of a explanation that is as to, you know, like why you would choose this planet as opposed to maybe the other billions of planets that are potentially out there. But okay. Because we'll make it perfect, and we'll make it plentiful, and and oh, these puny humans will just conquer you and do something. Just the explanation of trying to get the audience to understand why the aliens' motivations are motivated for a certain reason, really, I think would have allowed a lot more of an interesting commentary. Because again, you would have been giving them dimensions. Again, really what the aliens are doing is not right. I mean, they're really going after and killing innocent people. But at the same time, they feel like that they are justified in doing so for the various reasons I've listed. They lack a resource to survive, and they see how humans are being really wasteful and using the planet to its demise, and the aliens say to themselves, we would use these resources plentifully and a lot better than the way humans use it. Let's take over their bodies and let's repopulate ourselves into their bodies, and we'll basically take control. I think that idea would work too, also because, again, maybe the aliens can't really inhabit Earth for all that long. Like, they need a host in order to really survive, technically, because there might be something within the planet that they can't, like maybe the massive amount of oxygen, or the massive amount of water, or something like that, maybe doesn't fit well in with the aliens, and so they are only limited into the amount of capacity to which they can really visit Earth in their alien selves. So they, in turn, in order to survive, use the human host, the human body, in order to survive and procreate. So that would have been, I think, a lot more of a detailed explanation. Not only do you have those elements that could have had, again, more of an explanation, the plot within itself suffers this similar problem that Twilight does with the inconsistencies and how things don't really make sense. Like, for example, a Seeker kills one of their own, but why would she do that? And again, Seekers are the aliens, really, the hosted humans. And also, the human motivations don't really make sense either, because you see at one point Wanderer, who is hosting a human body, go over to some humans, and then the humans suddenly accept her as one of their own. So it's kind of not clear. Those explanations. Again, you could have made the similar thing of how their eyes are different. That wouldn't, I think, have been an issue. I think you could have done something like that to that effect. But I think, again, not only can you give the aliens dimension, you can also give humans dimension. Because you could probably even see, if the Wanderer goes with humans, there has to be some way into which she can, I guess, disguise herself, or portray herself as human, or as or there's really clearly a two-personality party going up along in one brain, with Melanie being up there, trying to fight the Wanderer. Had there been more of a explanation as to Melanie being present, then maybe they then I can see the human motivation making sense of, okay, she is really one of our kind, but she's still inhabited by somebody else. We should watch out for her, though, because, there's, again, the two people in one body, or one alien, one human, one in one body thing. So had they done that, I think it would have been more consistent and made a little bit more sense. And again, this is where we can see the other side of the humans, where you can see that the humans are not all that bad, and that they do use the resources wisely, and, and that maybe the aliens completely misjudged them on certain points. Because, again, you could emphasize, too, that there was a desperation for the aliens to inhabit Earth quickly because, again, their race was dying off. They needed a host or something in order to survive, an inhabitable planet. So, again, giving the both sides the dimensions would, I think, have worked well. There's also a very kind of cookie-cutter explanation as to the way in which humans can get rid of the alien host, and sort of a kind of weird way the aliens put themselves inside a host. It's really weird. It's like this, the aliens, they're not even like, I don't know, I almost think, how did they even come to this planet? They're just like these little things, like, just little white stuff, white sparkly stuff. Like, it's just really strange. It doesn't make any sense. So, for me, I think a better explanation would have been something to the effect of that there's actually a device instead, where the aliens actually use this device to inhabit a host. Or there is this thing that they can use, some kind of technology, in order to infiltrate themselves inside a human being. That, I think, would have been a lot more interesting explanation, or an interesting thought experiment that sci-fi could have taken with this, like, or the sci-fi element that's supposed to be within here. Like, you could have had, once one alien is inhabited, or like, 10 aliens are inhabited, it's much easier for them to have other aliens come in and inhabit other people, and, again, I think a device of transfer and doing the same thing back and forth. Like, you can put the host in, and you can take the host out too. I think that this could be a good reason, though, too, for the aliens on their side, because what if a human ends up passing away, or ends up being sick? They can just have a device to take it out, and so they can be put into another human that's around, or can be have a few more years onto them. So again, I think that would have been a better explanation than the explanation which they come up with, which is love. Love is how you take the alien host out. And apparently the way they put it in is they put it in the back of somebody's neck. It's really, really weird. But that's what they do. Put it inside somebody's neck. I think the brain would make more sense. I don't know. But that's what they do. So, yes, had they focused, again, on giving more context to, again, the plot, and not having these inconsistencies, and, again, giving these sides both dimensions, then I think we would have had a lot better product. Now, in regards to the creepy romance, and to kind of give you an understanding of what the romance in this movie is, well, basically, you have Melanie and the host Wander inhabiting one body, And there are two boys. One boy likes Melanie. The other boy likes Wanderer. Yes, so this is where we get the alien love. That alien human love. That's what it comes in here. And oh my, oh, how can this work? I think had they taken the creepy alien human love out of this movie, we would have had a lot better consistency, and it would be less weird, less confusing, and less creepy. Because if we still had the romance between the two humans, I think that would have been fine, but again, it does get kind of creepy because, again, we have that alien that is inhabiting a human body, Melanie, but if Melanie and the one guy in the movie developed feelings for one another, but he can tell who's who or who he's talking to, because the Wanderer is a completely different personality than Melanie is, then we would have had, I think, a better at least love story or love side plot, because again, really the main crux of this movie is supposed to be about the aliens trying to get rid of this two-person or two species in one body thing, which I think could have been the good as the center plot, as the thing to move the plot forward. Okay, we got the aliens trying to go and take Melanie away so that she's no longer inhabiting her own body. And again, you could have had the humans with the hideout, and you could have gone on with all of that. That would have been fine. But again, it's really these important details that really do make the movie suffer. And this really creepy romance of having the alien be in love with another human is just really weird to me and does not make any sense. And the fact that they have her end up inhabiting another human body, I think is just really stupid idea. And I think it could have ended with some kind of truce. It didn't need to be like, through aliens, or at least the good ones that are on the human side. It could have just been that both sides reconcile and they try to find a survivable source for the aliens, and they end up finding a survivable source for them. That's probably inhabited Earth, or maybe aliens end up coexisting with humans on the same planet, and they introduce us to all of their technology, and we co-inhabit, kind of like Star Wars, I guess. That whole ending, I think, would have been a whole lot better, and would have emphasized the whole thematic message of the importance of not establishing prejudices and not resulting in desperate measures in order to fulfill the need for life, and instead focus on trying to find a solution that benefits both lives, again, of humans and of other species, in this case being aliens. So again, I think that could have been a much better, less weird ending compared to the ending that they go for, which is kind of like, yeah, the aliens are evil, and goodbye, all you aliens, and yeah, all that stuff. You could have had at least some kind of, truce. I mean, usually half the time the aliens are evil, and then we kill them off, but it'd be nice if that was a little bit different, and again, this would be doing something completely different. But no, it's kind of like, yeah, haha, humans win, woo. So yes, had they not had this creepy romance, I think they could have had the romance a little bit with Melanie and the one guy as a side plot, and then they sort of come to an understanding of each other or something, and or maybe like they knew each other from high school, and he suddenly realizes it's Melanie, but it's really not Melanie, it's Wanderer, and he's like, or whatever, you know. If they had some kind of real development here, at least a little bit, you know, then we would have had at least something decent with the romance, and it wouldn't have been a huge problem. So yes, I think that's really, though, ultimately all I can say. It really all comes down to not having these plot inconsistencies, making sure that both sides at least have some dimension, and providing better explanations as to certain elements of the plot, and again, not having creepy romance. And then you would have had, I think, definitely a much better product. But I think, though, that's really ultimately all I can say about The Host. And as to what I would have done had I been behind the director's chair or somebody high up within Hollywood, I probably would have done those things. I mean, I know that it's supposed to be based upon Stephanie Meyer's material, but adaptations have their abilities, and to be honest, I would have not cared what Stephanie Myers would have to say. I would say, I'm sorry, I don't care what happens in this book, but I think, you know, what I'm gonna do is gonna be a lot better. So, you know, I mean, I would have just been like, no, I'm gonna do what I want, because I think the movie does follow the book relatively closely, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's really what I would have done. And again, there's been tons of liberties that have been taken when it comes to source material too. So you can always provide an explanation as to, oh, this wouldn't work in movie form as it does in book form, and blah blah blah. So again, regardless, I think, though, that's really ultimately all I can say. But if there are any questions, comments, concerns, again, more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you on the next video. Take care.